Many say that spirituality is directly linked with medicine. Some say otherwise. What does our GTV friend forever, Dr. Siva Subramanian, have to say about spirituality and medicine? Let's discover together from Mr. Sunny Siegel's interview with Dr. Subramanian. This upcoming question-and-answer period will be featured in our famous segment called Who's Who, where the founder and host is Mr. Sunny Siegel, who is the CIO of Montgomery County, Maryland.
Welcome to the Who's Who Show. I'm your host, Sunny Siegel. Today, our guest is a renowned physician, philanthropist, and global thought leader. Dr. Subramanian is a professor of pediatrics, obstetrics, and gynecology. He is chief of neonatology and ethicist at Medstar Georgetown University Hospital, Georgetown University Hospital. He is also the co-founder of and chairman of the Sri Siva Vishnu Temple in Lanham, Maryland. It's one of the largest Hindu temples in North America. Dr. Subramanian has, through his works, been granted a number of very high-level grants from NIH and other institutions for his work. He teaches pediatrics, neonatology, and taught religion traditions in healthcare and complementary and alternative medicine. Dr. Subramanian was also featured on the cover article of pre-Emmys in Newsweek Washingtonian magazine. He received the prestigious Interfaith Bridge Builders Award in Washington, D.C. in 2007. He's the co-founder of the Hindu America Seva Communities, creating a national Seva or service organization, and hosted 3 conferences with the White House. The last few years, he has organized and is coordinating fundraising for poor, rural, and tribal children's education in 19 states in India, helping them to finish school, get college education and vocational degrees, and uplift their lives. Through an organization called All India Movement for Seva, AIM, by building Chhatralayas, free student homes with free lodging, boarding, uniforms, coaching in arts, sports, and other worthwhile activities. Siva was a co-founder and served as the chairman of the Sri Vishnu Temple, as I already mentioned. So there's a great connection between his works as we know them in the community, in the world community, and some of his other achievements, as we'll talk about today. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure.
Dr. Subramanian, it's a pleasure to have you here today. I understand that your current pursuit has to do with service to the community in the Washington, D.C. area. And this is the organization known as the Hindu American Community Services Incorporated, HOCSI.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about the highlights, just the highlights of what you have achieved through this?
I think the organization, Hindu American Community Seva Service Organization, we formed it about 8-9 years ago with an idea of providing opportunities for service for our adult and youth community in the Indian American context. So then we took that up and then started giving free meals in the, I don't know whether people, our audience will be aware of, there is called a DC kitchen right in the middle of the DC. They serve 4,000 meals a day for homeless. And so we have done over the years almost 1 million meals. We physically go
in collaboration
with the DC kitchen. We actually go cook and provide vegetarian meals, for them over the years. And we have also done through the HOCSI other activities like supporting the Bhutanis who have come,
immigrants who are displaced.
That is correct. So we did a lot of work in combination with other temples, churches, and religious organizations to give them free services health checkup and so on and so forth.
I see. And I have a statistic here that Hoxie, working with 23 other regional organizations and individuals, including many youth, has served more than 1 million vegetarian meals at the DC Kitchen for the homeless.
Yes.
This is very impressive. You are truly a role model and a leader, and I want to commend you and thank you for your service to the community. You actually were on a full-length documentary that was screened at the National Press Club recently. It is actually also highly awarded film at the Las Cruces Film Festival, a prestigious honor, of course. The title, if I remember correctly, the title of your of the documentary in which you featured is "Your Health, a Sacred Matter."
That is correct.
Yes, and it's so interesting that you chose to participate in this project, because of the nature of your work as well. It's so important because you're in the work of healing babies and young ones.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little about this, and is it possible for our audience to get a glimpse of what your role was?
Yeah, what probably we can do even before we start talking about this, we can probably see the clip in terms of what it shows, and then we can come back and then we can talk a little bit more.
Okay, very good. Well, let's watch.
I'm a neonatologist being physician who takes care of sick newborn babies in the neonatal intensive care unit. The influence of Hindu religion goes through almost every action that I do. Medical care, health care, and religion in Hinduism has been around for thousands of years. What does it mean? Auteur means Ayush, life, and Veda means knowledge. So it is knowledge of life. There were 8 major divisions of Ayurveda, including like internal medicine, obstetrics, pediatrics, surgery. Would you believe neurosurgery, in terms of in those years? And so this is historically one of the longest running care that is being given, similar to Chinese medicine that is done. Obviously, the first and foremost is my practice is that of Western medicine. Probably will go home first.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You are ready and prepared.
What do you think, like a week from today or 2 weeks? Or
You don't know.
I
stopped in the predicting business
okay.
quite some time.
You'll know a few days
The
ahead of
babies surprised me in either direction. I wanted to make sure, totally didn't ignore Dad. So
he's enjoying
what
himself
questions
holding.
you might have, I know.
Do you have any questions?
No questions. He looks, they look to be improving, and that's all that I can tell. So.
Exactly.
So in this movie that we just saw, this is of course a very deep subject. Can you tell us how religion influences your practice of medicine? The clip that was provided is a very small segment of an hour and a half to 2 documentary, and that is going to be shown in PBS very soon. I see.
And so that people can see the whole documentary about how health and spirituality are a significant, critical element in people's lives. And since, as you mentioned in the beginning, that I was involved both as a physician at the Medstar Georgetown University Hospital, taking care of little babies in the neonatal intensive care unit, as well as I've had the good fortune to be able to be helpful along with many others in building the Sri Siva Vishnu Temple in Lanham, Maryland. So it is natural for me to look at in terms of the religiosity, spirituality, and medicine, and how does it interplay. And also from what we have been, growing up, we are exposed to Ayurveda in India, where you have the whole person is included in terms of the treatment. Whereas I'm a Western educated physician practicing Western type of medicine, but where we are interested more in treating and taking care of the patient immediately, and whereas the other point brings the patient's spirituality, the strength, or the religious faiths, or lack thereof, that it comes to they bring it to that physician hospitals, and how we recognize that, and then be able to, that we can provide that additional support that usually Western medicine doesn't do that as well. And so I think
sort of working synergistically.
Exactly.
Yes.
That is I think is what's important. And so what it allowed me to do is, because of my background in yoga and meditation growing up, and as well as exposure to Ayurveda, were able to put this together in terms of treating the parents and the babies in my NICU. And in the segment that you saw, how music plays a part in terms of helping the parents, the staff, and the babies in terms of getting better.
And the touch.
Yes, the massage and the touch are very important.
I see. That's most interesting. We don't hear Western medicine, the practice of Western medicine, talked about quite in those terms. So this is very refreshing. Now, in your founding of the Sri Shiva Vishnu Temple, you must have had a vision, and I know you co-founded that with others. Is the vision being fulfilled?
This is a very good question, because when we started, in terms of building this in the mid-70s, the goal was to provide, obviously, the anchor for the community as a religious place for worship. So that Sri Shiva Vishnu Temple does a phenomenal job of bringing the authenticity in terms of how those functions would have been done. Not alone the adults would have been exposed to that, but also to the young people who are growing up in this country, how that would have been. So that's one part. The second part, we also had a basement, and with an auditorium and rooms. The auditorium provides space for cultural, dance, music, all different kinds of aesthetics of life that you would have seen in India and that is associated with it, so that we were able to bring, and it has been phenomenally successful. So that is also. The third part is the service. So obviously it took us about 10-15 years in terms of establishing the temple first, and then we started getting into the service part, which we were able to do by making sandwiches every month and providing it to the homeless, from the temple to that. And also the temple, working with HAXI along with other organizations, provides in the DC kitchen, as I mentioned before. The fourth part, which was part of the vision, that is still yet to come fully, is the education part. So we are doing some like SAT classes for youngsters. We have a robotic class that goes on. But we are also started very recently, like in January of this year, seminars to address the next generation, for them to understand in a modernistic way of all these philosophies of Hindu religion, as well as in terms of the festivals.
Tell us a little bit about the seniors project, just very briefly, as we're
very quickly. Thanks for the opportunity, because we are also realized after the 40 years, we are all becoming not younger, maybe more with wisdom, but older, and so we need places for us to be able to live. And so we are, at this point, got the permission, zoning permission and all that, and starting to build about 90 units of senior living Hindu community.
I see.
And so that will give an
and
opportunity.
When will that become a reality?
Yeah, we are going to be hopefully start this end of this year, and by January spring of 19, it should be available.
I see.
And so people can approach and try to see whether that's a good place for them to live.
Very good, very good. Thank you for everything you do. Congratulations on your Interfaith Bridge Builders Award, which is highly prestigious. And I know that was a bit back in time, but
Yeah.
congratulations again, quite a recognition.
Thank
you
you
for being on the show
Thank
today.
you for having me here.
Thank you very
Right.
much.
Yes.
This is your host, Sunny Siegel, signing off on the Who's Who Show. I hope to see you next month at the same place and the same time.